Marban. And here we are on our 10th of our 12 lectures or talks today, as we continue to think about the Cappadocian Fathers and their influence on the Church. And so far in the last few talks we have focused on works by Basil on social justice and the Holy Spirit, and then Gregory of Nazianzus, firstly his 5 orations in the Anastasia Chapel on the Godhead, and then his letters Cledonius about what we call Christology, how Jesus is both God and man perfectly formed together, which will dominate discussion later in the 5th century, coming up to Chalcedon. And now in these last or next 2 talks we're going to be thinking of Gregory of Nyssa and some of his own works. You probably remember that Gregory was the younger brother of Basil. That he, like the others, were part of the Nicene Orthodoxy, as we shall see. That he was very close to his brother Basil, who died, and he gave an oration, I think, after his death, as did Gregory Nazianzus. And here we're going to be looking at one of his works, which is called Not Three Gods. Not Three Gods. Now, Gregory's works as a theologian can be divided into doctrinal works, as on the Trinity, which is what we're looking at now, Not Three Gods, or on human beings. There's a famous piece he wrote called On the Making of Man, or this short piece again on doctrine, which is called Not Three Gods, and that is, if you like, his doctrinal work. And then there are his ascetical works, like on virginity and monasticism, but also probably what he's most well known for, and we'll look again a little bit more of this, and the last one is his mystical works. That he was a person who wanted to explain the pathway of the soul, the way in which we can become what we are meant to be through prayer and mystical understanding. And this was especially expressed in the life of Moses, which I know you can look at in another series in the Academy, which has been done, and I shall be looking in a few minutes' time, as far as I'm concerned, on another of these texts on the soul and resurrection. But here we're focusing on this idea of not three gods. And the very idea or the phrase of not three gods comes, of course, from the criticism that was being made of the Nicene party. The Nicene party were holding to the fact that Father, Son and Spirit were of the same substance. Not only that they were not only one, but also they were separate, individuated, active persons. And always the difficulty is combining, if you like, on the one hand the unity with the other fact that they are three. And one of the accusations against the Nicene party was that they were putting forward the idea that there are 3 gods, that they were not monotheistic. And you remember when we looked at the doctrine of the Trinity from the Bible a little bit earlier in this course, we saw that the very heart of our understanding of God, that is, He is one, the Lord our God is one, in Deuteronomy chapter 6. And so what he's doing here in this short piece, Not Three Gods, is he's looking at a number of analogies that people make of the Trinity and say that they are deficient. And in particular, there's an analogy that was doing the rounds at the time, which to say that the Godhead was 3 in 1 in the same way as Peter, James and John, the apostles, were also commonly one of human being. They were all human beings, and yet they were 3 separate people. And what in this work, Not Three Gods, Gregory is doing, is saying that this is an insufficient way of describing the Godhead, by saying that Father, Son and Spirit are like Peter, James and John. And he looks over this analogy in the course of this text, and he shows various ways in which they are deficient. Yes, on the one hand they do share a common humanity, but of course the point that Gregory of Nyssa is going to be making is that that common humanity is not nearly as close as the common divinity and substance between the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. First of all, because human nature has been affected by sin, and the effect of that is to create divisions between our humanity and within in our humanity, so the humanity of Peter, James and John is not nearly as close or as unified as the divinity and substance, common substance of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. He says, as three men may share common manhood, giving them a unity, much more the Trinity shares a common single Godhead, and the qualities of that Godhead are common to each and also form the substance of their being. These qualities, among others, are eternal, all-powerful, incorruptible, all-knowing, omnipresent. These qualities, he says, collectively are part of the Godhead and indicate the substance of each member of the Trinity. This substance of the Godhead gives them unity. They are one. So if on the one hand he's wanting to stress the unity of Father, Son and the Spirit, as opposed, as it were, to the threesomeness of Peter, James and John, equally on the other hand, what he wants to do is show that each member of the Trinity, though common in substance, has an individual role to play within that Trinity. And so he goes on to describe what that is. He says, but in the case of the divine nature, we do not similarly learn that the Father does anything by himself, in which the Son does not work conjointly, or again that the Son has special operation apart from the Holy Spirit. For this reason, the name derived from the operation is not divided with regard to the number of those who fulfill it, because the action of each concerning anything is not separate and peculiar, but whatever comes to pass in reference either to acts or his providence for us, or to the government and constitution of the universe, comes to pass by the action of the three. So what he's saying here is, yes, they are acting in their own role, the Father and the Son in creation, the Spirit in communicating salvation, Jesus in bringing redemption. They are acting in specific ways, but each one of them is involved in the action of the others. And so in this way he's seeking to combat the idea that in any way the Nicene party is saying that there are three gods. There is one God. Each member of the Trinity act in a specific way, but each member of the Trinity act with the other members, achieving whatever it is that each wants to do. So in this way, Gregory of Nyssa is answering those accusations that the Nicene party are putting forward, the idea of three gods. It was a powerful, short piece of theology written in about 375 AD. Thank you.